I thought we'd have a little bit of a discussion about springs, how they work, how all the different brands out there, how they are kind of designed at the factory. The reason I'm getting to this is that for the last year or so, I've had my own springs made at a factory in the Far East, and this was really bore out of a condition where to get hold of any quality spring, we had to buy them in from most likely Taiwan, and you would generally get something like either an ASG spring or most popular Garda. And what I found over the years of selling these is that not only that the price has pretty much doubled of these, is that the quality straight from the factory is generally kind of nosedived a little bit. And I started to notice they come very dry from the factory. There's almost like no grease on them, and you can see when I press it like this, there's nothing coming off my hand. It's bone dry almost. And if they can sit there for a long time, and if they go into a cold storage and then they're in a hot environment back to a cold environment, you're going to get slight bits of condensation build up. And I've started to notice a little bit of rust on some of them, and it's not on this one, but a few of them in the past. And I've had from customers say, it snapped, and there was a rusty bit, and you were like, oh well, actually that's not on really. It's quite an expensive item. I think they're around about £14-15 now in the UK. So so I stopped buying them. I thought, well, I'm not going to buy them anymore. I can deliver maybe a better product at half the price. So that's the Garda springs. Right. So before I'll get on to the new springs that I've got here, and I say new, I've had them for about a year, and I've been sort of selling them, and we've been sort of slowly adjusting the speeds and the power. First of all, let me talk a little bit about springs. So this is, I don't know if you guys know the name of it, but it's generally called a compression spring in the business, and it's generally the force, which they call, well, the power that they call it, is measured in Newton millimeters. So you might hear them also call it, it's essentially the torque, and some places might call them basically the moment of force, or the measurement of force. And generally a spring will have its power will be made up of several factors: the wire thickness, the length, the outer diameter, the end grindings. It's actually funny enough, that can attribute to a little bit more size in there. See, these ones are grounded down, and also these ones here, these ones that we get made are sort of tested at a certain rate. So when a piston will pull back, when the sector gear pulls back the piston, it will pull back to a certain point before releasing, and that's around about 65 millimeters. So all of these springs that we've had made have all had measurements done at that particular level. Obviously, when you start short stroking, and if you use something like a DSG, it's going to throw it all completely out, and that's where everyone kind of accepts that you've got that sort of similar problem. But one thing that I do quite like, and one thing I make sure of when these springs arrive, is that they're all uniform. So this is in fact a equivalent of an SP90, so around about an M95, I'd say. So it's good for the Northern Irish market, but it's also good for builds which are over here, which are coming in. An M100 would be slightly too hot, so this is a perfect spring for that. You can see. Let me take the Garda one out here. There we go. So there you can see the Garda. I mean, these two should be the exact same power, exact same thickness as well. You can see there's slightly more coils in this one here at this end, so this means you can just have it a little bit shorter. But you can see, I mean, you can really get to see. I'll take the other one out, but you can really see the coloration of the springs here. It's got a slightly browner colour, this one here. And let's just take this one out, and you can see this is like a fresh one from the factory here. You can see how dirty my hands are getting from the oil and the grease. I've got some closer pictures as well, so you'll get to. I'll pop them up around about now, and you can have a look to see under a magnifying glass. So you can see the difference of the metals on this. It still fires just the same as it did the very first time we used it. It's an awesome spring, this M110. For the money, you won't get a better spring. Won't get a better spring that's been tested so much, and it's been used out in the field. It's been used for some of the real high-end testing that we've been doing as well, and it's just used as a general day-to-day tester. So really pleased with how these have worked out. Now let's show. We're working on some new. At the moment, we just stick them in these, but we're working on some new packaging coming next year as well for a lot of other things as well, just to smarten things up. And interestingly, you can see what have I got here. So here we go. This is a ZCI. This is another pretty good spring, but you can see this one's got a zinc coating on, and I did try some of the new springs in a zinc coating, but it didn't quite work as well. I found it was just a little bit more. The consistency wasn't quite there, and it just dipped the FPS once it had been coated in zinc. Maybe lost 5% of the power. So far better just to keep it completely non coated, and then just to have a better spring that uses slightly less material. And you can see these ones on the ZCI. They haven't got, whilst it's a pretty good spring for the money, the ends aren't ground. So when you pop that in there, you'll get a slight. Doesn't really cause much difference, but you just get a slight variation on that wobble, compared to something like the new ones where it's just ground flush. So you'll get that. You get a nice cleaner flush finish. And also one thing I was talking about before about the consistency in the lengths. You'll see these two here. These two here are just two SHS springs that we've got, and these are the same power, or rated as the same power, but you can just see the differences in lengths there. You can see how that's almost like 6 or 7 mil difference in this, and I'll get loads of these. I used to get loads of these sent over, and they had always the same issue where one was longer than the other. I mean, that's quite good. I mean, sometimes the lengths would be a centimetre more, and so you'd have to test it and then re-rate it and then pop it and resell it as a different power. So this is where a lot of these cheap, I mean, they call this piano wire, and it's just the cheapest Chinese wire. Believe it or not, I could not get any, when I was talking around at suppliers, I could not get any in China that would do these do this type of material. Nothing. And then when I read up a little bit more about, they had to go to Japan to buy the material, and a lot of Chinese will not buy from Japan at all. So it's maybe it's a cultural thing that goes back years and years and years. But anyway, yeah. So they would make these from piano wire, and then the nice shiny coat is just another plating that they do just to smarten it up and to hide the cheaper metal that they use. So yeah, completely out of it. What I'm going to be doing next week hopefully is I'll do some better testing of these, proper ratings as well. With I'll do it in joules this time as well. When I did the original ratings, I didn't do it in joules, so I'll do it in joules this time. With all different weights as well, so we'll know. So you'll have a better idea when you buy these exactly what they're going to come in, what you're likely to get. What I got from them as well with a certain build, and it'll just be a bog standard build with just the compression fixed and a decent hop unit that works. keeping it simple, really keeping it simple, but offering these really good springs. And hopefully we're going to have another batch of these made. We're going to tweak them a little bit. We're going to have the packaging done, and they'll still be half the price of the Garders.